Welcome to the Relax, It's Retirement podcast with Josh Leonard from Leonard Advisory Group. In this podcast, we help those nearing retirement greet it with a well-prepared smile. Join Josh and his guests to learn the retirement and tax planning tips you need so you too can live your golden years with the happiness and excitement you deserve. Hear stories from his years of experience to help you transition into a fun and intentional retirement. Now, on to the show.
Hello and welcome to the Relax, It's Retirement podcast with your host, Josh Leonard, where we talk about transitioning into retirement with intent. I'm Wendy McConnell. Today, we're going to be talking about traveling, one of my favorite things. Josh.
I love it. Yeah, it's that time of the year when many of us take a summer vacation or do some other traveling. So thought it'd be a good time to go through some tips here. Want to make sure that we're safe, especially when we're traveling internationally. And a lot of these will be focused more on that.
Okay. So did you have some kind of incident where this, was required for you to find out?
Yeah, I think, some are lessons learned by myself, most by others, fortunately. But when I was studying abroad in Hong Kong, my mom came to visit and we went to Beijing. And I don't know if they're still doing it, but at the time it was well known, just not to me and my mother, of the Beijing tea scam. And this is a scenario where by populous tourist sites, they send out a young student and they approach you saying, hey, I'm learning English. Do you mind grabbing a cup of coffee or tea with me to practice my English a little bit more? And we had just visited a site and decided we would. They brought us to this really nice tea house and we had some tea, talked for a little bit, and then the bill came, which was several hundreds of dollars for tea, mind you. But yeah, tea can be quite expensive in other countries, but that was certainly not our intent. Or if someone said, hey, Wendy, do you want to grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea? You'd probably think, okay, like a cup of tea, coffee, maybe even at Starbucks here, your worst case is like $12, maybe.
Well, and that's worst case. I was going to say $7.
Not 100. So even if you buy it for someone else, okay, maybe at most, you're at $20 or something.
You're right. Yeah.
So that was a bit of a stunner. And we navigated our way out of it without paying the full bill. But in many foreign countries, you have to be careful because the cops might be in on this too. So you certainly don't want it to turn into a bigger situation. So I will never jump in and get tea. So just won't do that one again. But that was one that we sort of learned the lesson the hard way. And my dad loves teasing me and my mom about that.
Well,
do you guys want to drink some tea? Do you want to drink some tea?
That's the thing is like, you're trying to be nice, you're trying to do a good deed. And this is what happens. This is why nobody's nice anymore, Josh.
I think that's it. I think, that was a tough one for us. But, these kind of things happen. So, Wendy, do you have any failures in international or domestic travel?
No, not really. I mean, I really haven't gone overseas, really. So, I mean, that's not an issue.
Anything on your bucket list to travel overseas?
Oh, everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay.
Everywhere I haven't been, which is a lot.
Okay. Well, then these will be great tips for you, too.
Okay, great. Let's dig in.
Yeah. So I would say the first one here is just blend in. So, don't go to a very poor country and be having all kinds of flashy jewelry, right? Leave that at home, especially if you're going to be out in public and stuff.
What do you think about your your wedding rings? A lot of them are very flashy and, it's women like to wear their wedding rings. Do you suggest that maybe leave them at home too?
Yeah, that can certainly be something to leave at home. Now, certainly, I think, for my wife and I think we like to signify if we're especially traveling without each other that, hey, taken,
right.
But they do make silicone rings now. Many people use those for exercise or something like that. They tend to be fairly cheap. So no one's going to steal that from you, right?
Okay.
No one wants to steal a piece of silicone, but they'll take the big diamond ring, certainly.
Yes, for sure.
I would say for males, of course, that's less of a concern. Our wedding bands tend to not be as much. I think the other thing that you could do is maybe leave the big ring at home and just bring a wedding band or something a little bit simpler and more low-key.
It's a good idea. Okay, what else? What else do we have to do to blend in?
I would say, try to put things in secure pockets. So don't have your wallet bulging out of your back pocket where it's quite visible, right? If you do like to keep your wallet in your back pocket, have a zipper pocket. At least make some deterrent there.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit more about storing money and valuables a little bit later on here. But I would say overall with blending in, the goal is just try to keep a low profile, right? You'll be apparent enough that you're a tourist in most cases. So try to blend in as much as possible, and also know the basics of local laws. So you don't want to get in trouble for something that's sort of an obvious law to the locals, right?
Okay.
The worst case scenario of international travel is going to jail, right?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a very good memory, probably.
Yeah, I would like to avoid that. My wife and I were in Hawaii 2 summers ago, and learned an interesting law there that it's actually illegal to have a drink on the dance floor. So any designated dance floor. Now, I'm sure if you're at your friend's house and you start dancing, no one's going to break down the door. But
okay,
if you're at an event and there's a dance floor, like a wedding, or we were at a conference, we were informed that you can't have a drink in your hand while dancing.
Were you arrested?
I was not arrested, and there were signs at the event we were at. But I thought that was sort of an interesting law, right?
Yeah, we would never think that.
Right. But, that's probably a very mild case, but you wouldn't want to get in trouble for something as silly as that.
No, absolutely not. So what else?
I would say second point would be have an emergency plan. So who are you going to call? Keep a list of numbers with you. I think many of us in our day-to-day lives, we don't remember phone numbers as much. When I was a kid, even, I had to dial people's phone number.
Yes, I remember it well.
And I have a few phone numbers that I still remember. I remember my wife's phone number, my mom, my dad, our old home phone that doesn't exist anymore.
I know 3 of my phone numbers from when I was a child.
Yeah. But that, if they're not up to date in your head, that's not really going to help you if you're traveling and you don't have your cell phone with you, or if your cell phone doesn't work in that area. So, with that, it's also good to have a list of the local emergency number. So what is 911 in the country that you're traveling to, or an English speaking version of that, depending on the country you're at, so you can clearly communicate with those emergency services. Okay. Another good thing to know with your emergency plan is where is the nearest embassy to where you're going to be. If you're really getting a sticky situation, you'd want to know where the U.S. embassy is.
That sounds scary, Josh.
It does. And depending on your level of travel.
Where the U.S. embassy is? What kind of trouble am I going to get in?
Yeah, well, hopefully nothing, but it's good to know, right?
Okay.
Wendy, you can also sign up for the Smart Traveler enrollment program or STEP program to receive alerts from the embassy. So if you're in a particularly risky country, this might be a good idea. So you're notified if there's any civil unrest or things like that. Then you may want to get out of the country quicker.
Yeah, you just never know these days, right?
Yep. And depending on where you're traveling. Now, if you're going to the Dominican Republic to stay on a resort, okay, that might not be as critical as if you're traveling to Iran or something that is, a lot more of a risk there.
Gotcha.
Third tip I'd say is bring a basic first aid kit. Any of your regular medications, of course, you want to bring. Any allergy medicines. I know for me, I have seasonal allergies. Well, sometimes when I travel, that's activated by different climates or different plants that maybe I'm past my seasonal time here in Michigan, but I might not be in another spot in the world. I'd say any motion sickness too. If you're planning on being on boats and you get motion sickness, well, okay, you might want to bring some medicine to help you deal with that. Basic stuff like Band-Aids, antiseptic wipes, basic pain medication, antibiotic ointment like Neosporin. Again, depending on the travel, you might not have access to that stuff quickly.
Well, and my last little trip that I took, I did not have Band-Aids and I walked so much. Ooh. I had blisters.
Yep.
Thankfully, my hotel had some, but yeah, I would have been in a lot of trouble if I wouldn't have been able to get some Band-Aids. So that's something I will never forget again.
Yeah, yep. But see, that just have a basic kit maybe and just keep it in your suitcase. Another one I'd say is like sunscreen, bug repellent, right? Especially if you're going to the beach. I'm sure you can buy sunscreen there, but it might be quite a bit more expensive.
Oh, of course it will be. Yes.
If you have allergies or, regularly carry an EpiPen, make sure you have that with you.
Yeah. Okay. What else?
I'm going to say also consider short-term travel insurance. So know the risk if your trip is canceled. If your trip is canceled, what happens then? A lot of people through COVID sort of got a reminder of this, where some companies said, oh, well, we'll defer the trip till ? And, if your circumstances change, well, you might not be able to get on that trip if you're not physically able anymore, especially if you're in retirement, or if something else changes. So know what your financial risk is there. If it's not tolerable to you, then I'd say evaluate the cost of that insurance. Many of these policies can also cover things like stolen property. So if you're on your trip and someone steals something from you, you lose, a laptop or something like that, something quite valuable. It'd be nice to be able to replace that, right, Wendy?
It sure would.
I would say also evaluate your medical needs while you're traveling. What if you fall and break your arm or something like that? What is the cost of that medical care in the foreign country that you might be in? And any of your health plans, or if you're on Medicare with supplements, what does that cover? Make sure you know what that risk is. And again, look at that travel insurance. Some of those policies can cover medical there as well.
These are really good ideas, because I have heard a number of people that have had health incidents while away. So yeah, this is really important stuff.
Yeah. And I think at my life stage, Wendy, I tend to think of, oh, I'm doing something really cool, right? And fall and break my arm or something like that. Now, for the record, I've never broken my arm, but it could happen, right?
It could happen. Next vacation.
That's right. Yeah. Knock on wood. We'll avoid that. But if something like that were to happen, Wendy, it'd be nice to know at least what costs to expect there. Okay. In many cases, when we're traveling to other countries, we'd rather not go to a hospital. But if we need to, let's make sure that we're going to be able to pay to actually get out of that hospital.
Right, exactly.
And if you're really a big jet setter, you can look at an annual plan for these travel insurance. So if you plan on going to Europe and Asia and maybe South America all in the same year, maybe it makes sense to just look at an insurance policy that's going to cover that all.
Good to know for the future. Yeah.
So whenever you hit retirement, Wendy,
yes,
cashing out on those pickleball lessons.
I hope it's as lucrative as you keep making it seem. So what else we got? What's number 5?
Number 5 is to keep digital copies of all your important documents. Easy examples: your ID, your passport, your travel itinerary, plane tickets, hotel confirmation. It could even be something like a vaccination card. If you're required to have a vaccine, I think most of those regulations have faded at this point, but that's good. Also, an emergency contact list, any important medical information. If you're traveling with kids, their birth certificates or any forms of identification for those children as well. Certainly, you don't want to be stranded and be separated from your children. That would be about the worst nightmare for anyone.
Oh, I would say so. Yes, that would not be good at all. So what you're saying is take a picture of all of these separate things so that you have a copy of them.
That's exactly it. So if you have a scanner, great, scan them in. Typically, you can get a clearer view of them with a scanner than you can with a picture. Sometimes people take pictures and not the whole passport's in the frame or something like that. So I think the clearer the image, the better. But if that's your only avenue, we all have a cell phone in our pocket these days. Take a picture of these documents and then save them in a secure cloud storage that you could access them from a computer anywhere.
So, do you know if you'd be able to use them in lieu of?
In some cases, you might be able to, but like coming home, if you don't have your passport, I doubt they're going to let you come through customs with just a picture of it. But if you go to the embassy, at least you have something to start that verification.
Okay, gotcha.
process.
I understand.
Yep,
All right.
yep. If you have things like hotel confirmations in a checked bag and they lose your checked bag, it'd be awfully nice to have a copy of that accessible.
Absolutely. I agree.
As well. So yeah, digital copies of all important documents, having that not only on your cell phone, but maybe in a cloud storage that you could access from another computer. So make sure you know the password to that account too.
Good tip.
Number 6 would be avoid solo travel. So solo travel, although it can be fun and quite an adventure and a great learning experience, it can be a lot more risky. So bring a family member, a friend, or do a group trip so you're with other people along the way, especially in international travel. This will help keep you safe. I think when you're doing that travel, let's say you book a trip, you really want to go to Europe, no one wants to go there with you. Great, book the trip, but then do some group tours. You might meet other people in the same situation that can become a friend, that maybe you do a couple things together and start to look out for each other a little bit more.
And that's a good suggestion, is to like go on tours and stuff like that. I actually have, traveled not far, by myself, and I usually would meet people, and I don't know, maybe they felt sorry for me, but they took me under their wing, and I would have a buddy or two for the rest of the day. So that's always, and I met them through these group tours. So
yeah, and I think typically on a group tour, if someone's trying to scam tourists or something, they're not going to go through the trouble of going on these group tours. I mean, I guess they could, but I think, again, we're just trying to lower risk here. Have fun at lower risk, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's it. Solo travelers are often easy targets, right? If you're clearly by yourself, they know no one's watching your back. If someone has malicious intent, it's a little bit easier. So it can just be dangerous. So figure out a way to have a buddy in one way or another.
All right. What do we have to keep in mind while we're on vacation, though?
So I'd say do a regular check-in with your friends or family members at home. So set a regular interval. If you happen to be traveling by yourself, tell your significant other or family member, hey, I'm going to give you a call when I finish breakfast before I head out in the morning. And then in the evening after I finish dinner, I'll call and say, hey, I'm back at the hotel or wherever you're staying.
Okay. That sounds good.
This makes it really easy for your loved ones to know. And if you miss a scheduled check-in, make sure they have the appropriate information to maybe check in with the hotel. Hey, have you seen Wendy? Or, oh yeah, we saw her check in. She said she was having trouble charging her cell phone or something. Great. Okay, then you know that your family member's safe.
That's why I haven't checked in.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, that power inverter blew up in the hotel room. And
please don't wish that on me.
My wife, when our boys were young and she had to travel internationally for work, she was nursing and had to pump. And she had a few times where she was in other countries and the pump blew up.
Oh no!
Happened 2 times for her, so that was a tough thing to try to navigate. But
I can imagine, absolutely.
Yeah, so things like that happen. It could happen with your cell phone or something like that, if that's still the device you're using to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
The next tip, Wendy, I'd say stay sharp, alert, and aware. So don't wander around appearing lost. Just like being a solo traveler, don't look like an easy target for folks, right? If you're lost, take a seat, stay calm, try to get your bearings and figure out where you need to go without looking like a lost puppy dog.
I have to tell you, my husband and I have to work on this one. We just went to New York not that long ago. And we were trying to figure out a street, and a woman walked by. She's like, "What are you looking for? What do you need?" Like, we were so clearly lost.
Right. Yeah. And New York, okay, could be dangerous, of course.
Right.
But I think many times in New York, people just ignore you, right?
Yes. I know. I couldn't believe I got somebody to offer us help.
That's right. Yeah. If you come over here to the Midwest, I mean, people will really give you everything you need.
Yes, I'm sure.
But yeah, New York is not typically known for being friendly.
Yeah, so we'll work on this one, not wandering around appearing lost.
That's right. But I would say this might connect with that. Pay attention to your surroundings, right? If you're walking somewhere, try to pick out a few markers along the way as you're going to a museum or something. So when it's time to come back, you can make sure you're on the right path going back.
Good idea.
Don't drink too much, right? I mean, we want to have a good time on vacation, but we don't want to lose total control of our senses.
I don't know what kind of vacation you go on, but no, I'm just kidding.
If you're in a resort town or a resort itself and you're self-contained, okay, maybe you can push the limits on that one a little bit. But certainly you don't want to be out at a restaurant far away from your accommodations and be totally intoxicated to the point that you can't find your way back.
No, it's not a good idea.
Yep. Like we talked about with the Beijing tea scam, be aware of local scams, right? So a quick Google search these days can kind of find any of that stuff for you. In fact, even when I could have done that step and maybe avoided the situation we're in, but hindsight's 2020. So listen to the podcast. We'll give you tips and save you a couple $100 in tea, right?
There you go.
So yeah, just being aware of common scams and common activities that happen in the area you're traveling to could avoid that situation altogether. Another one, I'd say, even if you make that buddy on the group tour, don't disclose too much information. Don't tell them, hey, I've never been here at all, and I'm totally unaware of what's going on here.
Okay.
Again, it makes you look like a victim. Don't freely offer where you're staying to everyone you meet to. And don't say, oh, it's only me and my husband traveling or something like that. Don't tell them too much information, right? If
So
you
don't
tell
invite them back to my hotel room for an all-night party. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. I'm traveling by myself. Please come back to my hotel that's here. I've never been here and have no clue what I'm doing.
But I got a lot of alcohol back in my room.
That's right. We're going to get smashed tonight. Yes, that would be a high-risk strategy.
Okay, gotcha. So don't do that. Okay.
Yep. And then
right.
Lastly, I have hide an emergency cash stash. I think this is a great one. Carry one set of, cards, maybe some cash on you when you're out and about. Hide another backup, right? If you happen to be pickpocketed or robbed and you lose that, certainly you don't want to be without any money at all. In almost all cases, traveling, money can get you out of a lot of problems, right?
Right. Yeah, I got to tell you, too, that I was just on a trip, the same one where I had all the blisters. My purse was stolen. It had my debit card in there, a credit card in there, cash. Luckily, I had another separate credit card back at the hotel because I wouldn't have been able to eat. I wouldn't have been able to do anything without having that second credit card. So, yeah, that's very important.
Yeah. Well, and I think even if you're transporting so maybe you're on a European vacation and you're going from one city to another, so you're not going to leave it back in the hotel, but just not having everything in the same pocket, right?
Right. Gotcha.
If you have your ID, credit card, and some cash in one pocket and then the rest tucked away somewhere else, that's a good diversification strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have it in a couple different places. Think of an unusual place, right? Don't put it in the hotel safe. Right? Hide it in somewhere where people might not suspect it. So, you could even have like an empty toiletry bottle. They make a lot of those fake sort of safe cans or something like that. Okay. Or even a pair of clothes that you're not wearing. Just throw it in the pocket of another pair of pants or something like that.
Sounds like they're very good ideas, Josh.
Good. So, Wendy, any other tips you can think of? I think we covered a lot here today.
Yeah, I do think that we covered a lot. It's stuff that I would have not really thought of. So good. Thank you.
You are quite welcome. And Wendy, we put all this together into our monthly Insights newsletter as well. So in the show notes, if you want to read through these or at least have a place where maybe you could print out a list of these items, you can check that out in the show notes. We'll also link the 911 abroad list. So emergency numbers if you're traveling internationally. Quick way to find it there. Embassy as well. So you can find the local embassy to where you're going, as well as the STEP enrollment page. So lots of resources if you got a cool trip coming up and want to make the most of it.
Yeah, you made it really easy for us. Thanks, Josh.
We're trying. That's the thing. In retirement, now you have more time to do these things. So let's do it safely.
Exactly. So if somebody has more questions, how do they get in touch with you?
Sure. They can reach out to me at jleonard@leonardadvisorygroup.com. They can check out our website at leonardadvisorygroup.com or give us a call at 412-998-PLAN.
Okay. And thank you for joining us on the Relax It's Retirement podcast. Please like, follow, and share with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Thank you for listening to the Relax It's Retirement podcast, the show that helps you transition into a happy, fun, and intentional retirement. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.leonardadvisorygroup.com or give us a call at 412-998-PLAN. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Leonard Advisory Group, LLC. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service professionals with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.